The passing of the Sexual Offences Act is a major step in addressing critical forms of gender-based violence in Kenya. Before the Act came into force on 21 July 2006, the Kenyan law could not adequately deal with sexual violence, where in many cases punishment to the offenders did not match the crime.
For years we had had problems with the implementation of sections in the penal code that affected sexual offences generally. But as years went on, it became necessary to relook at our own law on sexual offences so that we could meet the emerging scenarios.
Various problems within the law complicated the process of justice for the survivors. Such inadequacies included poor performance by police, medical staff, judiciary, and negative cultural attitudes. The Act has incorporated a new aspect of handling survivors and perpetrators by providing treatment, counseling, and justice.
If the medical sector continued to move on their own without the enforcement sector, the legal enforcement sector, then you'd find that they would still not be able to address the needs of victims.
The implementation of the Act therefore requires collaboration among the various stakeholders. Arising from that, the Attorney General appointed a multi-sectoral task force on the implementation of the Act. However, weak coordination, compounded by lack of a permanent body to oversee the implementation of the Act, has been a major impediment.
How do you coordinate public prosecutions? How do you coordinate the courts? How do you coordinate probation? How do you coordinate police? How do you coordinate healthcare services? How do you coordinate children department?
We have to try and work out an authority that will be able to take on the whole implementation of the Act when we eventually the task force is no longer in operation.
The implementation is also impeded by limited resources, both human and financial, to tackle sexual offences. As a result of this, treatment, investigation, and prosecution of sexual offences have been hampered by lack of proper facilities to collect and preserve evidence.
We take specimens which are supposed to be taken for DNA. But we have a challenge, the storage. And also after we take, we don't, most of the times even after we call the police, they don't usually come to pick the specimens.
If it is possible that the funds are available and then you have DNA or forensic laboratories in each and every county, it will make the services easier.
Even a little bit lower than the counties. If we can even find 3 or 4 in every county, that would be a satisfactory situation. But if we can just begin with 1 in every county, we will be okay.
There is also lack of knowledge among key implementers and stakeholders on the Act, and therefore need for sensitization.
We need to be told more about it. And especially now when you go down to the chiefs, assistant chief, and the village elders. In actual fact, they really need a lot of that knowledge.
There's a total mismatch between the law and what is happening on the ground. Maybe the magistrates have also not been trained, and I'm sure there are many laws that are coming every day. So there's a need for training and refresher courses for the magistrate, the prosecutors, to be able to understand so that they can be able to implement this particular law.
We have put in our curriculum all these things about the Sexual Offences Act, gender-based violence. So police officers are now coming out of the Kenya Police College fully equipped with this knowledge.
Poverty offers a challenge to the successful implementation of the Act. Despite the inability to hire lawyers to represent sexual violence survivors in court, there has been exploitation through the offender's ability to buy out the survivor or compromise the law enforcers.
A girl has been raped, and the parents in the other communities, you may find that there is a taboo to report. So it may subject these parents negotiating, elders negotiating, and they say, okay, well, nikupatie mbusi.
In rural areas, and we have experienced this, courts are not so near to the people. These are victims who now have to do like 100 kilometers away. 2-3 times it's they adjourned, they don't come back.
One-stop center will be able to be such help that when a victim lands in a one-stop center, there will be the police will be there to attend to them, the doctor will be able to attend to them, the lawyer will be there to make sure that whatever statements are being taken are the right statements. and above all, that the assailant is apprehended and taken straight to court.
The challenges are not limited to these few highlighted here. As such, the successful implementation of the Sexual Offences Act requires collaboration among the various stakeholders. The government needs to work with development partners to ensure that the overall objective of the national policy and guidelines on the administration of the Sexual Offences Act is achieved. The policy covers both the implementation framework and resource mobilization to address the entire cross-cutting issues involved in the administration of justice and management of sexual offences.